Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2 is an unbalanced mess. So, I'm going to fix that. Ranging from balancing the infamous punts to giving the not-so-good abilities much-needed buffs, I'll go through each of the Garden Warfare zombie abilities. I hope you enjoy this part of the Garden Warfare 3 series, and let's get right into it. The Soldier's abilities. Starting off with the Zombie Stink Cloud, an absolute must is that it gets the trait from Battle for Neighborville where fellow zombies can see through the cloud, because currently it more often than not sabotages your own teammates by blocking their vision as much as it blocks the plants. To give it an edge over the Super Stink Cloud, I'll make it a lot bigger than it is currently, but keep the damage the same, so it becomes a lot more effective at clearing objectives. The Super Stink Cloud will also get the Battle for Neighborville treatment of letting other zombies see through it, and everything else about it will stay the same. The Rocket Jump's core stats will stay the same as well, but it will be buffed to give you 2 of them like the Rocket Leap, as that was one of the main reasons why Rocket Leap was clearly the better ability. Speaking of the Rocket Leap, it will not send you as high as it did before, as in, it will struggle to send you on top of rooftops now. However, the speed it grants you will be increased by a bit, so you can speed ghost more effectively at it. Mind you, it won't be anywhere near the sheer power of the heroic kick. This just makes it so the 2 abilities are more like side grades to each other, making the leap better for more aggressive soldiers and the jump better for campier ones. The ZPG is probably going to be one of my most controversial changes, as I'll change the ability to make point-blank ZPGs impossible. The rocket's hurtbox will only activate after it travels a short distance, so you can't shove 300 damage into someone's face just because they got a little too close to you. However, I won't make them useless at close range, as I'll make point-blank ZPGs explode in the target's face, knocking them away from you quite a considerable distance, putting them back into your ideal range to finish them off with your primary. Lastly, to encourage them to be used at long range, the rocket's acceleration will be enhanced. Oh yeah, as a funny bonus, you'll get an XP bonus if you vanquish a P-Gatling or Sunbeam with it. The multi-rocket will keep its point-blank range ability, and each shot will be buffed to deal 75 damage, making the total 300, the same as regular ZPG. I feel like this ability can stay usable up close because of the wind-up and delay between each shot, making it not as good of an instant vanquish ability. The Engineer's Stun Grenade is going to be nerfed, as both the Garden Warfare 2 and BFN versions are terrible. Garden Warfare 2 is just a stun ability that prevents the opponent from doing pretty much anything meaningful, to the point where it's surprising if you don't vanquish anyone affected by it. The Battle for Neighborville Stun Grenade, also known as the Bullhorn Swarm, unleashes a flurry of micro stuns that disrupt whatever you're doing, and they stick around. They also follow you until they're destroyed. As for how I'd change it, I'd make the stun grenade no longer disable the primary weapon of the targets, so they have a chance of fighting back instead of just sealing their fate as soon as you use the ability. In fact, this makes it more akin to the time snare, without including any of the changes I made to it in the last part. I'll also decrease the sensitivity of the affected targets, so that way it's harder for them to hit you, but not impossible. The Proximity Sonic Mine is honestly one of my favorite abilities conceptually, as it completely flips the standard formula on its head. Because I nerfed the original Sonic Grenade, keeping this one the same should give it a niche over the stock. The Big Bolt Blaster is pretty okay, but I'll remove the armor granted like the P-Gatling ability change. This one should be less meaningful because of the hitbox protection it provides by default. The same should be provided with the Bedazzled Bolt Blaster, as well as having its crosshair fixed to be the same as the base version. The Jackhammer abilities I touched on in the third part of this series, but now that we're at that number but squared, I feel like I should refresh you all on it. In Battle for Neighborville, the Engineer's method of sprinting is his Jackhammer, which is what I want to keep. The issue with sprinting with the Jackhammer is that it clashes with the Jackhammer ability. So, in order to remedy that, I'll just be deleting the standard Jackhammer. The Turbo Jackhammer will become the new standard one, and have its purpose be changed to supercharging your sprinting for a short while making you move much faster than normal sprinting, as well as having the stamina deplete slower. The Scientist's Heal Beam of Science will just be changed to his Battle for Neighborville Healing Hose, taking the right slot of his abilities kit. Because I mildly dislike how they made his Heal Beam a carbon copy of the Sunflower's Heal Beam. Making it fundamentally different, yet serving the same purpose, feels so much better to me. Wait, what do you mean I've made carbon copy abilities before? The healing stations will be changed quite a bit, and a bunch of their roles will be mixed up, but stick with me. First off, I should probably explain my thought process behind this and how the abilities should function based on their characteristics. The standard heal station has less health, but heals quicker. The armored heal station has more health, but heals slower. They both last the same amount of time before self-destructing. Because the regular heal station has less health, you're better off using it behind cover where it can't be destroyed as easily. The armored heal station should be used in areas where it can capitalize on its near indestructible levels of health, where you'll be taking a lot of damage in an active battle. Now, let's look back on how their healing works. In the area where you'll be more likely to take more damage, the armored heal station does a worse job as it's less efficient with its healing. And where you're already less likely to take damage behind cover, the regular heal station does an even better job, as you'll most likely be naturally regenerating while it's healing you at the already higher rate. When looking at it that way, the armored heal station is completely useless in almost all situations. And then PopCap had the audacity to give it the bling treatment instead of the one almost everyone will be using. So, now that we've looked at how the two abilities behave and why the armored heal station is obsolete, we can get to addressing the problems with the two. For the regular heal station, I'll be making it the one to heal people slower, because of its frail nature will make it used more often in safe areas, meaning that you'll have natural health regeneration to help you out as well. The armored heal station will now get enhanced healing. In fact, it will be even more effective than the standard one currently is to make a difference in fights. Now that I gave the fast healing to the armored heal station, doesn't that just make it objectively better? Not quite. I'll have it live up to its misleading sticker book description and make it self-destruct faster. But Twilight, what's stopping people from just using the armored one behind cover? And to that, there'll be an additional mechanic where it slows down its healing rate if the player it's healing hasn't taken damage in over 1.5 seconds, to the point where it will only heal 2 health per second. There. Now this standard heal station has been made into a reliable, slow healing tool to get you back on your feet in a safe environment, while the armored one is a ride or die ability to plunk down in the middle of a battle to keep your team alive, but can't do much when not in an active battle. Whew. That took a lot of dissecting to sort out. Now let's talk about the warps. When I was first trying to balance these, I wanted to directly port over the Battle for Neighborville warp and replace the Garden Warfare 2 one. You can even see that idea showing all the way back in part 1. Upon further thought, and some place testing in Battle for Neighborville, I believe that it would be an awful thing because of how versatile it is, and how easy it makes escaping fights. So, the Garden Warfare 2 warp will stay mostly the same, except for the fact that you'll get slightly more invincibility frames during the wind-up animation. The energy warp is pretty much a worse arcane enigma as it stands, and has been directly power crept by out of fight, mostly because of your inability to jump while you're in it. I'll buff it by allowing people to jump while in it, and because why not, give you the ability to phase through obstacles such as tall nuts and other plants while dealing 10 damage to them. While we're on this topic, all players will be able to walk and shoot through their teammates in Garden Warfare 3. There have been so many times where you get body blocked by a teammate, costing you your life, situations where a ZPG or the likes gets sponged by some random person jumping in front of you, or simply getting stuck behind a character slower than you when traveling by foot. Just thought that I should get this out of the way. I have to say, the Sticky Explodey Ball is among my least favorite abilities in the entire game, solely because of how poorly designed it is. The main thing preventing it from being even more obnoxious than Imp Punt is that you don't immediately get them back when you respawn, so you don't see it as often. What makes this ability so annoying to me is that, like the Imp Punt, it is one of the most brainless abilities in the game to use, and only perpetuates my issues with scientists being used as attacking classes instead of healers. All you need to do is walk up to someone and chuck them both, and voila, you have a free 100 damage with little to no effort. Not only that, but missing your shots leaves these little 50 damage pains for you to deal with. Sure, you can destroy them, but their hitboxes are so tiny, not to mention the disjoint they seem to have. If your character doesn't have any splash damage, then good luck trying to find the one spot you have to hit them. At the very least, make your crosshair turn red when you're in line to hit one. You think that's all? Who do you think you're kidding? Of course not! Those things have an obnoxiously large detection range and an even larger blast radius. Don't believe me? Try to sidestep one by going in their range and then trying to get out of the way before taking any damage. Unlike every other explosion-based ability in the game, this one doesn't have radius damage fall-off, so you can get as far out as possible from the blast range and still take the full 50 damage. And lastly, by giving it to the healer class, among with some of the highest damage outputs across all zombies period, only makes the extinction of support scientists even worse. So, purely out of spite, it would just not be a thing in Garden Warfare 3. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, the Mega Heal Bomb I find to be one of the most well-designed abilities in the game. Its fundamental behavior is perfect. My changes will be regarding the physics, fixing the jank when someone jumps on one, and because I changed how object abilities work, it will lose the ability to push people, and instead will lightly bounce off of them. Because this ability, and now the Healing Hose, are both right abilities, along with the removal of the sticky Explodey Ball, it forces players to use at least 2 healing abilities, putting them on equal grounds as Sunflowers. Finally, we can move on to another character, with that being the All-Star. First up, we have the Imp Punt, and we all know why it's annoying, so let's not waste too much time on it. I'll have it behave like the Battle for Neighborville version, no longer pushing people and only dealing 100 damage. This no longer makes it capable of OHKOing over half the roster, and instead becomes a tool to start and finish fights. Long Bomb is something that many consider to be superior to the regular Imp Punt once you wrap your head around it, which is fair, but I'll be twisting it around as usual. Instead of traveling along a fixed arch, it will more closely follow where you're aiming, but still heavily arc. It will deal 125 damage, and keep the capability to explode instantly. The only other thing I'll do is make the actual Imp's hitbox smaller so it doesn't clip on the edges of random map geometry and explode in midair as often. You'll also get a 100 XP bonus if you nail someone head-on with the ability.
Nice shot!
Something I'd like to mention about the punt abilities is that when you use one, your tackle will be disabled for 2 seconds, and vice versa. This should eliminate the ability spam potential for the All-Stars. Sprint Tackle. Imp Punt's partner in crime when it comes to the All-Star package. The regular one will now be like the Battle for Neighborville Sprint Tackle because it feels more like an actual tackle to me, instead of just phasing through a bunch of your enemies. I also like using it more because of the momentum disruption you get from hitting someone. It sets you up perfectly to attack the target with your primary weapon, while the Garden Warfare 2 one disorientates you, and you have to wait for the target to land again. Not to mention the Battle for Neighborville version's crack sound effect when you hit something, which is super satisfying. It also recharges faster, so that's a nice bonus. The Ultra Tackle is where I can appreciate the Garden Warfare 2 physics. The name alone, Ultra Tackle, suggests that what you're doing has a lot more force to it, so plowing through the enemy defenses makes a lot more sense. As for how I'd change it, I'd make it so that you travel as fast as the regular Garden Warfare 2 Tackle, go a bit further, and gain a property where it instantly destroys all barriers the plants have up if you hit them. These would include things like Tall Nuts, Cold Snapdragon's ice walls, and the Gilded Oak's massive tree barriers. I figured that with all the defensive plant abilities I've made recently, the zombies should have an easy way to remove them if they get to be too much. Now for the tackle dummies, the standard one can stay the same, really, as there's nothing offensive about it. It's a solid ability with good use cases. The shield decoys can have their hit points increased to 125 instead of just 75 because they get destroyed way too fast to offset getting some extra shields from it. The future dummy will be buffed to allow you to have up to 4 out at a time instead of 2. It will also have a check done when damaged by Imp Punt to instantly destroy it, no matter how much health it has when it is destroyed. Additionally, one future dummy exploding will trigger the other ones next to it, so you can make more of a gimmicky combo ability that has a larger niche than before. Now, if you want to, you can set up a cluster of shields and use Imp Punt on them to cause a massive chain reaction. So, that wraps up all of the Garden Warfare 1 zombie abilities. What do you think of this new style of video? Do you have any thoughts on it? If so, let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you later.